Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Kausar Alo with the top stories. Louisiana floods, Obama heartbroken after tour. Trump spotlights victim of illegal immigrants at Texas rally. Oxfam UK in denial about Saudi arms sales. Syria war, Turkey strikes Israel targets in Jarablus. North Korea fires submarines launched ballistic missile. Those are the headlines, now the details. President Barack Obama has charged over the poor flood-ravaged areas of the Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he vowed to help residents rebuild in the coming month. We are heartbroken by the loss of life, he said after his tour.
The waters are receding across Louisiana after some of the state's worst ever flooding, and as residents try and salvage what they can, the US president is promising sustained federal aid.
Sometimes once the floodwaters pass, people's attention spans pass. This is not a one-off. This is not a photo op issue. This is how do you make sure that a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, people still are getting the help that they need.
It comes after a rising tide of criticism leveled at the commander-in-chief for failing to cut short a 2-week vacation in response to the crisis. It's been nearly 2 weeks since a storm dumped over 2.5 feet of water on parts of Louisiana, flooding 60,000 homes and killing more than a dozen people. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump descended on the state on Friday, despite the governor calling for both him and Obama to delay their visits to keep resources focused on emergency work.
As we fine-tune exactly what's needed, when we know, for example, how much permanent housing is going to have to be built, when we have a better sense of how much infrastructure has been damaged, what more we need to do in terms of mitigation strategies, that's when Congress, I think, may be called upon to do some more.
With many locals lacking insurance, more than 100,000 people have applied for federal aid. $120 million worth has so far been approved, with $20 million already disbursed to those in need.
Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump put the spotlight on mothers whose children were killed by illegal immigrants at Texas rally.
This election will decide whether or not we have a country. Today, I met with the moms of incredible American children killed by illegal immigrants as a result of the policies of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton will never meet with these families. She will never hear their incredible but so sad stories. She will never hear. She doesn't have the heart, believe me. I would like to invite the mothers who lost their children to illegal immigration to join me on the stage right now. These are great people.
Hello, my name is Marianne Mendoza, and my son, Sergeant Brandon Mendoza, Mesa, Arizona police officer, was killed when a repeat criminal, illegal alien, drove over 35 miles the wrong way on 4 different freeways in Phoenix May 12, 2014, and slammed head-on into my son on his way home from work.
Incredible people, what they've gone through, incredible.
Group accuses UK government of being in disarray over selling of arms to Saudi Arabia for potential use in Yemen war.
The British government has dismissed concerns about selling arms to Saudi Arabia amid accusations that it misled the parliament over the case. A British government spokeswoman has defended the weapon sales to the Arab kingdom, saying that the Saudis have stuck to license conditions set by the UK. She also added that London is ensuring Riyadh is not breaking humanitarian law by bombing civilian targets. It comes in response to a statement by charity group Oxfam, which accused the UK government of being in a state of denial and disarray over its continued sales of weapons to the kingdom.
TV station says joint military operation with US-led coalition involves mortar and rocket shelling besides fighters jets.
War in Syria is becoming increasingly complicated. Several factions and international alliances are fighting it out both on the ground and in the air. And now Kurdish areas in the north are being heavily targeted. The U.S. is warning it won't hesitate to open fire on the Syrian army if it continues to attack fighters from the U.S.-backed Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces in Hasaka. Now, to the west of the city of Manbij, Turkish forces are attacking Kurdish YPG positions. The Turkish government accuses the YPG of being an extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or the PKK. Turkey's armed forces has been at war with the PKK separatists for more than 20 years. Now, the Turkish government's vowing to get rid of ISIL from border areas. Turkish artillery is targeting ISIL fighters in the northern Syrian town of Jarablus. Turkey says that in response to cross-border mortar fire from Syria.
DAEŞ diğer terör örgütleriyle sonuna kadar mücadele edeceğiz.
We will fight ISIL and other terrorist organizations until the end. We will continue to support the countries who fight against them. Our border region must be completely cleansed of ISIL. It is important for us to give the necessary support needed to get rid of a group from this area during this period.
So let's just take a look at who controls what in northern Syria. ISIL fighters are not just on the border with Turkey, but remain in the cities of Elbab and Jarablus. So they're in effect a part of the autonomous Kurdish region known as Rojava. The Kurds have gained more territory since the war started more than 5 years ago. And they're now in control of large areas in the north, stretching from Hasaka all the way to Afrin, that's north of Aleppo.
Latest test, which was reportedly carried out of North Korea's east coast, comes amid escalating cross-border tensions.
The reaction has been as swift as the missile's launch, especially from North Korea's neighbors. South Korea condemned it as another provocative act.
North Korea should focus on improving the North Korean people's quality of life. These provocative actions are not good for themselves and the development of relations between us.
As with a similar launch last week, the missiles were fired into the sea between North Korea and Japan. Unlike last week, these are thought to have been medium-range missiles, with at least one reaching 800 kilometers. That brought a strong response from Japan because parts of its territory could be reached by a medium-range rocket.
We have strongly protested to North Korea. The government will continue to work in close cooperation with the international community and respond firmly.
This latest launch further tests the patience of neighboring China. In China, there's growing alarm at the instability on the Korean peninsula and a sense of frustration that despite its influence, its ally and neighbor continues to conduct these tests. Earlier this week, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un confirmed his country's determination to continue missile launches and soon conduct a nuclear warhead test. Those threats followed a nuclear test and a long-range rocket launch earlier this year, both moves prompting increased UN and US sanctions. If the international community was wondering if those sanctions were deterring North Korea, this launch seems to be the answer.
Viewers, we will take a short break. Stay with us. Quake brings down buildings in central Italy, at least 6 believed killed. Turkey seeks US-based killer extradition but not for coup State Department. Karachi TV station attacks. Blast kills 1, wounded 30 in southern Thailand. British women killed in Australia hostel attack. And Russia Paralympic ban upheld. Let's move the next news. A strong earthquake brought down buildings in mountainous central Italy early on Wednesday, trapping residents and sending others fleeing into the streets, with at least 6 people believed killed. The quake caused serious damage to a number of towns and villages but did not seem to have hit heavily populated areas. The worst hit towns were believed to be Accumuli, Amatrice, Posta and Arcota del Torrento. A spokesman for the Italian Fire Department, Luca Cari, told media helicopters would be sent up at first light to assess the damage. He said the mayor of Accumuli said a number of buildings had been badly damaged. 4 people are under the rubble, but they are not showing any sign of life. 2 parents and 2 children, Mayor Stefano Petrucci told Rai Television. Rai quoted police as saying 2 people were known to have died in the nearby village of the Pescara del Torrento. The mayor of the small town of Amatrice reported extensive damage. Half the town is gone, Sergio Piroggi told Rai. There are people under the rubble. There has been a landslide and the bridge might collapse. The earthquake caused damage to towns in the region Umbria, Lazio and March. The US Geological Survey, which measured the quake at 6.2 magnitude, said it struck near the Umbrian city of Norcusia, which has a picturesque historic center and is a popular tourist site. Mayor Nicola Alemanno said no deaths have been reported in Norcia. The anti-seismic structures of the town have held. There is damage to the historic heritage and buildings, but we do not have any serious injuries, he told Rai. Prime Minister Matteo Renzi's office said rescue teams were being sent to the worst-hit areas. Italy's Civil Protection Agency said the earthquake was severe. The US State Department says Turkey formally requested the extradition of US-based Turkish cleric Fethullah Gulen, but not on issues related to the recent coup attempt, which Turkish leaders have accused him of inspiring.
So we can confirm now that Turkey has requested the extradition of Mr. Gulen. But I wouldn't characterize the request as relating to the coup attempt. In fact, they don't relate to the 2016 attempted coup. I don't have further details to provide other than that, except to say that we have, as I said, we have received a formal extradition request, just not one pertaining to the coup attempt.
Political protesters attacked a TV station in Karachi, prompting police to search the group's headquarters. Political protesters in Karachi, Pakistan stormed a local television network on Monday, prompting law enforcement officers to raid the group headquarters. Demonstrators from the powerful political party Muttahida Qawmi Movement, or MQM, fired shot at the ARI TV station on Monday before ransacking the offices. According to local media, the group was angry about the media's lack of coverage of hunger strikes carried out by its members. MKM has held influence in the city for years, although the party denies link to crime. An ongoing crackdown on criminal and militant activity has seen many MQM members arrested, which motivates other group members to go on hunger strikes after the ARI TV station was attacked. Parliamentary troops searched the group's headquarters and confiscated weapons. The MQM website has also been blocked. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has called a high-level meeting later Tuesday to discuss the matter. Thai police say one person has been killed and 30 wounded by a bomb blast near a hotel in southern Thailand's town of Pattani. One person has been killed and 30 wounded in a bomb blast in southern Thailand. Two explosions went off on Tuesday night near the Southern View Hotel in the town of Pattani. One in the hotel car park and another from a truck near the hotel entrance. The second bomb caused all the casualties. The attack comes less than 2 weeks after a series of unexplained blasts in southern Thailand killed 4 and wounded dozens. The attack seemed to have targeted the country's tourist hotspots. Group has claimed responsibility. Since 2004, the government has been battling insurgent groups in 3 southern provinces, the border Malaysia. Security experts say insurgents could be responsible. A referendum last month revealed the sharp difference in opinion between those provinces and the rest of the country. They rejected a new military-backed constitution while the rest of the country supported it. A British woman has been stabbed to death and 2 other people wounded at a backpackers hostel in Australia, in what police say may have been an extremist attack. A British woman has been stabbed to death at a backpackers hostel in Australia in what police say may have been an extremist attack. 2 other people were injured, one a 30-year-old British man who is in critical condition. The attacker is believed to be a 29-year-old French national in Australia on tourist visa. Police say he called out Allahu Akbar during the attack and when arrested.
We've had 3 people stabbed, one dead, deceased, and 1 critically injured. It's a shocking attack by any standard. So the motivations for it are unclear. As I said, there are many or a number of different circumstances that could be at play here, and our investigation is trying to determine what they are.
The government says about 100 people have left the country to fight in Syria alongside groups such as Islamic State. Australia has been on high alert for attacks by homegrown radicals since 2014. There have been several so-called long wolf assaults. The suspect in this attack is also thought to have acted alone. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry arrives here on a brief one-day visit on August 29 to discuss bilateral issues with his Bangladesh counterpart. However, there is no official announcement of the visit neither from Dhaka or Washington. The U.S. Secretary of State will be here on the morning of August 29 by a special aircraft and leave for New Delhi later in the evening. A diplomatic source told UNB on Tuesday night. There is a scheduled event in New Delhi on August 30 titled U.S.-India Strategic and Commercial Dialogue, but it could not be confirmed whether Kerry will be attending the event or not. A diplomatic source told UNB that Bangladesh ambassador in Washington, Mohammad Ziauddin, will leave for Dhaka on August 26 and arrive here on August 27. This is a sudden development, the diplomat said, adding that formal announcement regarding Kerry's visit will be available on Monday. It will be Kerry's first visit to Bangladesh. As former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton visited Bangladesh during her tenure in Dhaka, he will hold a bilateral meeting with Foreign Minister A.H. Mahmood Ali on a whole range of issues, including security cooperation, and discuss ways to strengthen the relations between the 2 countries. The U.S. Secretary of State will also meet Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina during his brief stay in Dhaka. He will also hold meeting with civil society representatives and media people during his stay in Dhaka. The court was scheduled on Tuesday to hear the deposition of the plaintiff in the case Rajuk of official Hiluddin, but he did not show up. When the prosecution pleaded for more time, Dhaka Senior Judicial Magistrate Afsana rescheduled hearing for October 26. At least 1,135 people died with Rana Plaza, an 8-story building near Sabar bus stand at the outskirts of Dhaka, collapsed in a heap on April 28, 2013. Another 1,000 rescued from the debris have suffered severe injuries. The casualties were mostly workers employed in the 5 garments factories located inside the building. The massive human loss following the collapse led to their cases being initiated for manslaughter, breach of building code, and another for corruption during its construction initiated by the Anti-Corruption Commission. The one over the building code violation was filed by Rajuk, the capital development agency. The case, which accuses 13, including owner Rana, has brought to focus design flaws, unapproved extensions, and use of substandard building materials. A total of 18 people were later named in the charge sheet by the investigator of this case filed under Section 12 of the Building Construction Act 1952. The prosecution has named 130 people as witnesses in the case. Nicolas Sarkozy visited his new Paris headquarters after announcing he will run for president in 2017. Anticipation as former French President Nicolas Sarkozy heads into his new Paris headquarters after announcing he will run for president in 2017. Sarkozy has done little to conceal his desire to return to power, but he has a tough fight ahead if he hopes to win the fight to lead the less Republican Party. While his supporters may be enthusiastic, mixed reviews in the press, with a headline from a left-leaning paper saying, "The worst thing is he can win." His campaigners are already canvassing the public.
We went door to door yesterday as soon as he announced his candidacy, and we talked to people and saw that their worries are about identity, terrorism, and security. These things are on the minds of the French. Will they be able to pass on the France that their parents and grandparents lived in on to their children? This is very important today. It is a true question for the French.
Meanwhile, some relief for the current French president after facing a wave of attacks and lack of public support. Embattled President Francois Hollande had something to celebrate Tuesday, welcoming home the Olympic team, but still no word yet on whether he will seek re-election next year. Syrian Kurdish and government forces agree a ceasefire to halve fighting in the northeastern city of Hasaka, although survivors wonder how long it will last. This is what ceasefire look like in Syria. Amateur video, which cannot be independently verified by Reuters, shows signs of everyday life in the war-squared street of Hasaka in the northeast. Syrian Kurdish and government forces have agreed to the ceasefire. The Kurdish YPG militia, which already hold much of a northeastern Syria, has reportedly won control of nearly all Hasaka city in fighting with government force that erupted last week. It is a fight that has come with a cost for residents.
We were sitting at our house and suddenly a shell came, killing 5 of us, and my daughter is critical now at the hospital. We want to know who is responsible for the Syrian people. Does Assad agree with dropping shells on his children? If God willing a shell comes to his house and children, I hope his heart will be burning as he burned our hearts.
It's a fight that may be over, at least for now, but the wounds have not yet healed. Operation results in 207 criminal cases against suspected web distributors of child sexual abuse images in 28 countries. A major operation against distributors of child sexual abuse image online has resulted in the arrest of 75 suspects across 28 European countries. Codenamed Operation Delight, the investigation has resulted in 207 criminal cases, Europe's policing agency Europol said on Tuesday. We know that individuals terrorists are using online platform and network to distribute child sexual abuse materials, and we are determined to target them and bring them to justice. Stephen Wilson, head of Europol's European Cybercrime Center, said in statement, Operation Daylight was launched last year after Swiss police notified Europol after uncovering a vast network of criminals involved in the sexual exploitation of minors online. Europol received the information in June 2015 from the Swiss authorities and disseminated intelligence package in July 2015. Based on the intelligence, separate investigations were initiated in the concerned countries. Tyne Holloway, a spokesman for Europol, told media, so far some of the 75 arrested suspects have been prosecuted and the investigation is still ongoing, Europol said. Viewers, now the business news. Volkswagen and two of its car parts suppliers appear to be edging towards a resolution of a contract dispute that has hit output at more than half of its German plants. Volkswagen did not need the media attention or the cost of lost production, two good reasons then to settle a dispute with suppliers. Talk went through the night with two of them, seat maker car trim and ES Automobile Gas, with makes parts of for gearboxes. An agreement was reached after 20 hours.
Volkswagen have been guilty in the past of certainly using their power, using their huge size to lean on suppliers and saying we're basically going to sign the deal that we want, and if you don't want it then you can swing for it. And I think Preventer maybe realised that they were going up against a behemoth and have settled as a result.
The conflict had been threatening Volkswagen profitability following last year's emissions test cheating scandal. 28,000 workers at 6 of the car makers' 10 German factories were affected, and on Monday production of top-selling Golf and Passat models was halted. The suppliers were seeking compensation for lost revenue that said rain into tens of the millions of euros after Volkswagen's cancelled a contract. Germany Economy Ministry struck its warning of the broader impact of jobs. UBS analysts and estimated on week of lost production at Volkswagen Augsburg headquarters would result in 100 million euros in lost gross profit. Money Volkswagen could ill afford when it's facing billions of euros of cost from the emissions scandal. Viewers, will take a call. Eurozone private business activity was supported by surprisingly strong growth in France during August survey show. But as media reports, factories could face a tougher September as new order growth stumbled. France criticized no, it is European pancake economy flat, but not in August when France services cooked up something of an unexpected treat. Their latest PMI reading of 52.0 is the highest since before the Paris attack of last November. But with manufacturing still in contraction, there seen is little evidence yet of a rebound.
We're starting to hopefully maybe see the impact of European Central Bank stimulus on the French private sector. The key will be how long this continues. One swallow doesn't make a summer. We've seen similar blips in Eurozone data over the course of the global financial crisis, and they've been snuffed out pretty readily by fears elsewhere in the world.
German growth slowed in August, thought economists say it often does, and it still looks robust. So the real surprise was the UK. Its manufacturing orders rose to their highest in 2 years, a fall in the value of sterling helping cushion the impact of Brexit, at least in the UK.
If there's a Brexit impact later on down the line, it's likely to first manifest itself in the political scenarios that we see play out in the Eurozone over the course of the next year or so, be that the Italian elections, the Dutch, the French or the German elections later in the late part of next year, and that will start to see a fall off in investment spending. That may see a fall off in consumer confidence and capital expenditure of businesses.
And Eurozone new order growth for the manufacturing was at its weakest since early 2015. That, coupled with the still muted demand across the Eurozone, soon keeping further ECB policy easing on the menu for some time to come. Viewers, now the sports news. Russia has lost its appeal against a ban from next month's Rio Paralympics because of a state-sponsored doping program, the Court of Arbitration for Sport said. For hundreds of Russian para-athletes, the 2016 Paralympic dreams has become a nightmare. The Court of Arbitration for Sport has dismissed Russia's appeal against a ban from the event, so the athletic will have to watch next month Rio Games from home. Russian Paralympic long jumper Badmin Aluskin says he is disappointed.
This is ugly. This is a major, powerful blow to the entire Paralympic movement in the world. This leads nowhere.
The International Paralympic Committee issued a blanket ban earlier this month over Russian state-sponsored doping program. The program was uncovered by the World Anti-Doping Agency. It found that the Russian government and FSB security service had covered up hundreds of doping cases over the years. Russia can now appeal to the Swiss Federal Court, although the court can only overturn the ruling on procedural grounds and not on the merits of this case. France's Olympic team returned home on Tuesday, where they received a hero's welcome at the Élysée presidential places in the Paris after winning a total of 42 medals, 10 of them gold, at the Rio Games.
Returning in triumph after a nail-biting 2 weeks in Rio. Team France is back on home turf with 10 Olympic gold medals, 18 silvers and 14 bronze to its name. First off the plane, judo star and gold medalist Teddy Riner. The unstoppable athlete hasn't lost a match since 2010. French women also impressed in the judo competition. 2 of them have come home with silver medals.
I got silver, Clarice did too. We were going for gold, but unfortunately we weren't lucky this time. We've come back to France with silver, and that's what matters.
Boxers Tony Yoka and Estelle Mosley emerged to cheers. The real-life lovers cemented their status as France's golden couple after becoming Olympic champions within 48 hours of each other. And in another memorable performance, Kevin Mayer won the country's first decathlon medal in 7 decades.
It feels great. I'm thrilled. It was such a difficult competition, and I feel great having won.
It's been a memorable summer for France's Olympians. They left Rio with a record haul of 42 medals.
Celtic survived the second leg onslaught to reach the Champions League group stage with a narrow aggregate playoff win over Hapoel Beersheva. Beaten 2-0 in Israel, Brendan Rodgers' side progressed on the strength of their 5-2 win in Glasgow last week. Celtic keeper Craigie Gordon saved Mahran Radius' penalty shortly before was beaten by Ben Sher's headers. Ovidiu Hoban capitalized on a mix-up between Gordon and Sadly Janko for Hapoel's second goal. Celtic, who are likely to win in the fourth pot of seeds for the Champions League group stage, will discover the opponents when the draw is made in Thursday evening. Viewers, before ending news, let's have a look at Millennium TV News recap. Louisiana floods, Obama heartbroken after tour. Trump spotlights victim of illegal immigrants at Texas rally. Oxfam UK in denial about Saudi arms sales. Syria war, Turkey strikes Israel targets in Jarablus. North Korea fires submarines launched ballistic missile. You are up to date with our top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log on www.millenniumtv.net. Thank you and stay with Millennium TV. Allah Hafiz.